Hey everyone, welcome to Commanding the Kitchen. I'm Chef Nick Peters Bond, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. As you can see, we are not in my kitchen, we are actually in my house, the room next to the kitchen. And I have this pot that has some questions in it from Instagram. So I posted about the new season 19 of Hell's Kitchen airing, and I was getting a lot of questions about Hell's Kitchen in general. And I said, you know what, everyone ask me a bunch of questions, and then I will compile them all together, and I'll pick some out of a pot. I thought it was very appropriate. And I will answer some of them for you on camera. So I might not get through all of them because there was a lot of them, so thank you for everyone that did send in your questions. I appreciate it, and some of them are really good, some of them I've talked about before, but there were some similarities to some of them, so I think I'm going to try and get everything you ever wanted to know about a Hell's Kitchen done in one video, which seems like a big task, but we'll try. Alright, get my pot. And these weren't even all the questions, and I was kind of shook at how many people were asking, which I was excited about. This is from Heeim, Heeim _ house. I think it's supposed to say, how stressed were you working with Elise? This is a question I've answered a lot. Well, I've answered a lot of questions about Elise from Hell's Kitchen. Set the record straight about the Elise situation once and for all. I have no problem with Elise. I think she's very talented. And I think she's living her best life right now. She just had a baby. I have a child now, you know. A lot can change in a few years. I don't know her personally outside of Hell's Kitchen, but I wish her all the best. How is it working with her? That's a different story. On the show, clearly her and I had a couple of interactions where I was sticking up for Michelle. She was yelling at Michelle. It was nonstop. It drove me insane. Let's put that to rest. I have nothing against Elise, and I wish her all the best. This question is from Aileen K.I. Aileenski. It says, I admire your calmness, the way you handle things, and your loyalty. How did you feel, candidly, when the final 2 was announced? I mean, what was the first thing that comes to your mind? Shook. I was shook. When the Caesar's Palace executive called out Benjamin's name, but he was looking at me, it was very confusing. I was shook. I was really upset. Because I thought for sure that I would have been in the final 2. I think it's written on my face, it almost looks blank, because I was just so surprised that happened. And I think a lot of other people, from what I've been told and from what people have commented, is they were also confused as well. So I think confused and shook are my 2 candid initially. Then I was kind of pissed because I was I worked my ass off and I really believed in my menu, and such is life. Here we are, sitting on my couch answering questions about Hell's Kitchen out of a pot. But this question is from Tori.Matthews. It says, I was so upset when you didn't win. Sad face. Same. I rooted for you both seasons you were in. From the first episode, how did your experience on each season change in terms of your mentality? This is a good question. I think because I feel as though I've changed drastically since season 14. Other than the beard and maybe 20 pounds, let's not get into it. I'm a dad now, okay? So dad bod, we'll get there. But other than physical appearance aside, and I really feel like that my independence and my confidence skyrocketed once I was on the show. I mean, let's be real, I hadn't been on a plane by myself ever. I hadn't flown in years and years and years and years. I hated flying, I hate heights, I hate planes. The idea of airplanes scares me shitless. So when I was flying up by myself to LA when the interviewing process was on, I was shook. I just couldn't believe that I was doing this. It was so out of my wheelhouse and my comfort zone. And I'm very outgoing in my own life, but I still had a sense of I was kind of a homebody still at that time. And then when All Stars came around, it was just I was a whole different person. Because a few years had gone by in between, and lots can happen in a few years. And I went through a couple career changes, or I should say job changes. I'm still in the food world, as you know. But I definitely had a couple job changes, and I just learned a lot along the way. And I became a lot more independent as a person, which really kind of helped a lot on the All-Star season. And when I got the All-Star season, when they called me, my mentality was, I want to win. I don't think on season 14 I really had that going into it. I was this should be fun. I'm just going to see how I do. Whereas on season 17, All Stars, I was I'm coming there to win. Okay, the next question is from Potluck Parties. It says, signature dishes from Hell's Kitchen menu is your favorite to eat, and which one is your favorite to cook? We didn't necessarily get to eat a lot of the food other than when we were kind of learning the dishes. We got to try stuff. Other than that, we really didn't get to like take a lot of the food that we did. A few people did, like, we snuck like food like in places and our jackets and like went back to the dorms and like nibbled at it because we cook so much food on that show, and we rarely get to eat the food that we cooked during the dinner services. So, you know, the dishes like the scallops, the risotto, the lamb, the beef Wellington, there's like amazing desserts. We didn't get to try a lot of them. We tried them when we were learning them, but not necessarily when everything was all said and done. I think I really enjoyed cooking. I still love to cook risotto and scallops, which are my favorite things. Maybe not necessarily the Hell's Kitchen scallops because they are like a U10 scallop, which just means like it's under 10 per pound. And so they're decent size, but they're cut through the middle, almost like butterfly completely through. So they become thin. So they're really hard to cook like that. I do love like a nice fat scallop and like getting a really nice hard sear and basting it, and it's just like, it's romantic. Like, it's amazing. So that's what I love to cook, and I would say eat is probably risotto. Anything pasta from the show was good. The scallops, a lot of like the specials we did were awesome. All right, another question going. It says, do you remember the dishes you had to make? I don't know what this is referring to. This is from jgarcia.fit. I don't know if you mean, do you remember the dishes you had to make? The dishes on the show? Yes, I remember some of them. I don't remember the mise en place and the whole plating of them, but I do remember a couple of them, kind of. I would say from All Stars. And some of them from season 14, not a ton. I know we had definitely had a lamb dish, a New York strip, risotto, scallops, beef Wellington, halibut on All Stars. There was other ones too, but I'm like blanking. And then if you're talking about the dishes that I made and challenges, I do remember those more so than the other dishes on the menu because we made them on the spot. So that was definitely challenging and really interesting to make. You know, it's a concept that I've like been practicing. I usually practice at home anyways, is going into a pantry or your refrigerator and finding ingredients to make something for dinner, like in a pinch. It's what it feels like when you're on the show. Like, we basically had a bunch of ingredients and then we had to make a dish from them. There was always some sort of like focal point, so we all had like a general idea of where we should go, or at least the theme of the episode. But every time you saw us cooking with all those ingredients, it was a beautiful spread. They had like the nicest stuff for us. We were really spoiled in that regard. We basically had anything we could ever want to prep with, so we got to make some really fun stuff on that show. All right, the next question. If you got this is from Delbert _10_4_7. If you get the chance to cook in the finale, who would you pick as your team and why? I truly thought that I was going to the finale. So in the moment, though, I wasn't necessarily thinking about who I would have chosen, but I'd been asked that question. And in my mind, it was always Michelle and myself in the finale. And so if that wasn't the case, I would have chosen Michelle first. But no, let's say it's Michelle and myself. I think I would have chosen, this is in no particular order because it would have depended on what Michelle would have picked. But for me, Jennifer, definitely, because I've worked with Jennifer before. She was my boss at a restaurant called Sea Level in Salem, Massachusetts. I was like the sous chef there and she was the executive chef. That was just after I came off of Hell's Kitchen the first time. I would pick Jennifer on my team. Dana, definitely Dana. Dana and I got along really well, and we still do. Hi, Dana. And we still talk, and so I think definitely Dana would be on there. Millie, probably. Millie and I get along really well, and even though like we give each other shit, I feel like he would do whatever it takes to like make sure that I would have won. So Millie. Who else? I'm trying to think. Maybe Robin. Robin was a little cray-cray in the kitchen, but like she had good energy and she really means well. So, and she's also really talented. Shout out to Robin. Hi, Robin. I love you. She just had a cookbook come out, so I'm very excited for her. And who else would have been on my team? So Dana, Jennifer, Millie, probably Robin. And I'm trying to think of like any other people. I don't know that I would have chosen Barbie or Elise, to be quite honest with you, but if I had to choose, I probably would have ended up choosing. This is a tough one. I probably would have chose Barbie, which may come as surprising. I think Michelle chose Elise because she thought that Elise had more actual cooking ability and talent than Barbie did. But I don't know that it's necessarily true, especially when the finale, and what I would have done is chose Barbie because her and I got along okay. Like, we didn't really have any issues. And that's number one. And number two, I feel like she would have did what she had to do, and then that was it. Because her and I, like I said, her and I got along fine. So out of Elise and Barbie, I would have chose Barbie. And then, who else? Why am I drawing a blank? Van is amazing. I like Van. I don't know. I would have chosen Van as well. I'm really just literally listing all the cast members off. I love Van. I think he's super talented. And him and I, got along really well. So I don't know. Probably those people would be like the people that I would choose right away. And then obviously, like, I love Gio. Like, Gio and I still talk. We get along really well. Let's be honest. I was friendly with pretty much everyone on the show. So I would have, if I was in the finale, I would have won with whatever team I had. So let's just say that. All right, the next question. Were you more nervous when you came back than your first time? No. I was way more nervous the first time I was on Hell's Kitchen. I was scared shitless. Like I had said in the previous question, is that I wasn't very independent, or I realized that I wasn't very independent, and I felt very anxious while I was there. It was very anxiety inducing because you have anxiety at home watching it. Imagine living through that. So yes, no, the first time I was more nervous. The next question. Okay, picked up like 4. The next question is from I'm Calling You Out. I get it. I'm calling you out. I like that. What was your fave season of Hell's Kitchen before you joined? So this is a little bit of some confession and some tea. I didn't necessarily watch full seasons of Hell's Kitchen before I was on it, which a lot of people are surprised to hear that I just didn't necessarily watch it. Obviously, I know who Gordon Ramsay is. I knew of a couple of other contestants from clips or just other people saying that they watched it, but I really didn't religiously watch any one season of Hell's Kitchen. Of course, you hear about like some of the few like very memorable people from different seasons that I've heard about online or like clips of, or I know how Gordon Ramsay is and I've seen the show, but I don't necessarily have a favorite season. I think one of my seasons looking back that I really enjoyed like watching clips of and stuff was Chef Christina's season that had Dana and Robin on it. That was a really good season. Next question. I'm very cozy on my couch if you couldn't tell. This is from That Spooky Lifestyle. Same. What would you change if you were running the competition? I don't know how you mean. Running the competition like I was in Chef Ramsay's place and I was calling the shots? I don't know. I think if I was in charge of the whole competition, I would do a lot more challenges. Maybe some of the challenges were like very extra that we did. Like it was just like over the top because it's TV, so obviously you want to make it entertaining. But I do think that some of them are just like, you're like, what? You did all that for this? Like, there was one where there was like barnyard animals and we ended up having to cook with certain types of protein, but they had like legit farming. I was like, just so extra, which people like. I get it. It's very entertaining. When the camel was there during the taste it and make it thing, or the blind taste test, I should say. It's a lot. I probably would do more challenges though revolved around like cooking and menu planning and creativity wise. I think that could be more fun than watching dinner services. I mean, you let me know in the comments below. Do people like the drama of dinner services? It was so stressful. It was so stressful. This question is from T.Sab.1012. Was Chef Josh just as crazy to work beside as it was just watching him? This is one of the other people I get asked about the most. Josh was a hurricane in the kitchen. Josh and I got along contrary to popular belief on what was aired on the show versus what wasn't aired. There was a lot of times that the other contestants and myself and were having a lot of fun in our dorms, and it was rare that we had time off, so when we did, we were kind of just like goofy. So we did have a lot of fun, but in the kitchen, forget it. it was like Hurricane Josh, like a tornado. Very crazy, frantic energy, and yeah, what you said, it was crazy. What you saw is what was going on in the kitchen, so it was wild. All right, so I'm gonna answer a couple more questions. Let me see what this one is. George Laster, 21. Which male and female contestant did you like the least from season 14 and season 17? Okay, yes. I didn't necessarily pre-screen some of these questions beforehand. That's aggressive, but fair. Can I plead the fifth? Like, is this something that I can plead the fifth on? I think you know who my favorite contestant was on season 14 and season 17. It was Michelle. Her and I were just friendly, and we were friends on both seasons. I think I also really grew close with Dana and Jennifer. I loved going into All Stars because I already knew Jennifer. But for females, that's who I think I got along with the most. I also love Chef Megan from season 14, who was the winner. She's amazing, so talented. Christine, Robin. I mean, T. I love Chef T. Chef T also has a cookbook out, so you can check her out. I can't necessarily pick one person I liked because I did get along with a lot of people on the show. It was more of the few people that I didn't get along with. I would say maybe Josh and Brett I didn't get along with a ton on season 14 towards the end. And then also season 17, probably Josh and then Elise, obviously. The next question is from JDZN_love. I love Hell's Kitchen, just hate how overly edited it is, but that's just reality TV and all. What was the best lesson you learned from being on the TV show? This is a really good question / observation. I do feel like one thing that people ask me a lot, piggybacking off your question, is, was Hell's Kitchen real? And as far as me and my persona and my personality and the way I handle myself, that was all me. You know, nothing was scripted. They didn't make us say anything. Like, you know, there was some funny stuff that we joked about, like in confessionals or interviews and things like that, but nothing was forced on us. It was very much like they're really good at casting the show and bringing back people from previous seasons. So everything was real. This question comes from Steffi Amber. I've watched your season on Netflix. How did you keep your composure when you were stressed during those challenges? I don't know. Because I have an anxiety-ridden mess. And I've gotten a bunch of, I guess, compliments saying people were like, oh, you're so composed and so calm, and like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I was just super focused, especially on All Stars. I was less of a scatterbrained mess than I was on season 14, and I was just focused. And I also wasn't drinking, and maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. I wasn't, we don't drink a ton on the show, but when we did drink, like, even after like one glass of wine and stuff, I still had a headache the next day. Like, we just were under so much stress that, like, on All Stars, I was like, maybe I should halt. If I want to win this, I need to be focused. So I didn't drink the whole season, even though, trust me, there were times when it was like the champagne was offered and I was like, but I didn't. So I was very proud of myself for that. Another question is from Greg Gully. For one episode, did it really film in one day, or was it a few days of filming? Also, how was the casting process? It's a little two-part question for me, I suppose. I think, let me read this again. Let me see. Did one episode film? I honestly, maybe. Sometimes it was more. What you see, a lot of it is one day filming. So like we did do a lot of like double, I don't remember what we called it, the contestants called it, or the chefs called it, but there was days when we had 2 things in one day. So like a challenge, a reward or punishment, and then dinner service. Those days were really long. So that's a lot in one day. And a lot of times it's broken up over 2 episodes, but all those things we've done in one day full out through. So it's a lot. The days are definitely long when we do that kind of stuff. In the casting process, as far as the casting process for season 17 goes, I just got a phone call asking me if I was interested in a potential All-Star season. And I at that time, I had thought this is never going to happen again. I have to take it. The first time I was called on season 14, now season 17, I was like, I'm not going to miss this opportunity again. So obviously I took the opportunity. And that was it. For season 14, however, there was a lengthier process. There was a few different interviews, not to get into like too many details, but there was definitely a few different interviews, I was flown out to LA, flown back. Yeah, it was a lot. It was interesting. It just being myself and being like naive and not really knowing what the hell was going on. But I was just like, I'm just gonna go with it. But the first time was a lot. It was a lot to get on to the physically time I was interviewed to the time I was, or I should say, open casting call to the time I was casted was a little bit of time. The next question is from Andres_Razo1. Is there anything you believe you could done differently in the final challenge that could have given you a pass to the final service? No. I truly, in my heart, believe that there was nothing else that I could do. And I think it was maybe the way the show went in a different direction, or I'm not sure. I'm sure there's so many speculations about what happened, and who knows. There's sort of conspiracy theories out there, but I wouldn't have changed anything because compared to season 14, I was like, I'm gonna win the show. I truly, in my heart, after making those dishes, making the menu, plating them, creating them, I was like, this is it. Like, I really, truly thought that I was winning. So, joke's on me. This is a longer one. This is _TRV_. Okay, so food gets sent to the customers, then sent back because it wasn't cooked correctly. Ramsay yells at whoever cooked it. But what about the chef that let the dish get sent out in the first place? Did they ever get yelled at or replaced in the show? I hope that made sense. Kind of. I'm assuming you meant the chef who was in the kitchen, like the sous chef. If that's what you mean, I'm assuming it's got to do with the drama of being on TV. Because I don't know if that's what you mean. I'm not sure if I answered your question. The person, so like if I messed up on the show, it would get sent back. It typically doesn't make it past the pass, which is what you see in the show when Chef Ramsay and the sous chef is there, whether it's Christina or Jackie on our All-Star season. They typically won't send something out, but if something does get sent out, it's typically the customer or the guest doesn't like what it was or how it was cooked or whatever. That happens sometimes, but it wasn't a ton. Next question is from Yell_Ufna. Who was your favorite chef to work with? I had so much fun working with Chef Jackie, and I really loved getting to know Chef Christina a little bit more when she became like my sous chef with me when I was creating my 5-course finale menu. I really got to like talk to her, be one-on-one. That was the first time we had a lot of one-on-one interaction with any of the other people on the show. That wasn't the other chefs. So I definitely had a lot of fun working with Chef Christina. So hi, Chef Christina, if you see this. All right, the next question comes from Hennessy Nicole. A couple of fire emojis. What was an insult or compliment you remember getting during your season? An insult I remember was during season 14. We ran out of beef Wellingtons on my station, and I straight up went up to Chef Ramsay and was like, Chef, do we have more beef Wellingtons? I'm out. Because we had messed up so many times. And he said, do I look like effing Houdini? And it took a lot for me not to laugh at that because it was funny, but it was like also like, how am I messing up? Like, that was season 14, the meat station tragedy. That episode I was eliminated. And the best compliment was season 17, where he complimented my menu a few different times, and he enjoyed the dishes and complimented certain parts of them, and that was really cool to hear him say that. The next question goes from Carla Jasmine Cruz. When doing a punishment, do you guys really finish it all by yourselves? This depends, I guess, on the day, what we had planned with production and what was going on. We did have to, like, on season 14, we ate a peanut butter and jellyfish sandwich. It was horrible. We had to sit there. They wanted us to eat all of them, and it was horrible. But I'm #blessed that season 17, I think I had to do one punishment, which was cleaning out cars, which I was like, okay. The next question is from Ramman91. Is it true that contestants have to see a therapist after being eliminated? Plead the fifth. The next question. Does Chef Ramsay ever mess up? This is from Thieben04. Probably not. Chef Ramsay is a very busy gentleman and a very busy chef, and he has no time for tomfoolery, and I can't imagine that he messes up much. He's just so much stuff at stake and so much stuff going on. Probably a lot of pressure. I could never imagine that. El Colombiano _519. How did you feel when you saw your ex during the reward? It's like what they say, expect the unexpected. That was not planned. So on season 14, a girl that I grew up with, who I ended up dating in high school briefly, she went out to California to basically pursue, I believe, an acting career, and then she got hired to be the chef on the episode that I was on that my team won. Figure that out, how that ended up happening. If I was not gay, then that would be a sign that that would be my soulmate, because it was wild. Wasn't planned. Production had no idea there was a connection between myself and her. No one knew. And everyone thought I was joking, but I wasn't. It was a truly wild moment where I saw her and I was smirking. I was like, what's going on? I thought it was planned. I don't know. It was, my reaction now was just like that. What is going on? Can I say hi to her? They're like, who? They had no idea. So it was kind of a sweet moment. That was a genuine surprise that no one really knew. It was very ironic. But of course, when they heard that she was my ex-girlfriend and I'm obviously very gay, they were very excited about that. This question is from Surya.s_12. Thoughts on Millie? I love Millie. Those are my thoughts on Millie. I love him. He's a great guy. This question is from Spurjigs. Not a question regarding your time in Hell's Kitchen, but what are your tips for an inspiring chef? The one advice that I've given several times when people ask me this is the one thing that someone told me when I was just starting out in the kitchen as a line cook, is that you have to advocate for yourself. That's something that has always stuck with me, the word advocate, because I realized when I got older and the more I became in this industry and any industry in general, you have to stick up for yourself. You have to tell whoever is in charge, this is why I deserve this job or this raise or this, whatever the case may be, is because of X, Y, and Z, and lay it all out there. Tell them why you deserve something, and it'll work out. It should work out. If you think you truly deserve something and you give the other person a reason as to why, or let's say it's a promotion or a raise or just getting your foot in the door, it's give me a shot. I deserve a shot because of these reasons. Give him your resume, but also give him you as a person. I hope that makes sense. Last question. Christopher Bradley Music. Just curious, I know there's some people that truly have never made any food, i.e. beef Wellingtons, cooked with lamb, etc., etc. Is there a fair amount of training and recipes that you were given? We got a binder with the recipes and pictures. When the show starts, we get to look at them and everything. And then we get one demo that, I don't know if they show this, but we get a demo from the sous chefs on the dishes. They show us how to make it, obviously, and how to pick it up, and how dinner service should run. Is it an extensive training? No. We never made any of these dishes prior to coming on the show. So it wasn't an extensive training. It was more or less this is what you do, now replicate that in dinner service, and under high pressure, intensity screaming, the audience, the restaurant, there's a lot of other stuff that goes on there, but. So that's it, guys. That's the majority of the questions from my Instagram about my post about Hell's Kitchen. I hope these answers some of your questions, and now you have one central source of all your Hell's Kitchen wants and needs. As always, if you like videos like this or you like my channel, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. If you want to be notified for when I do drop videos, like my next one on Thursday, please press the notification bell. That way you're notified when that video will drop. As always, you got this. Thanks, guys.